I would go into the shower and then I'd cut myself. When I'm in the shower, I'd just be crying and I'd cut myself. And I'd keep saying words to myself like, nobody loves me, I hate it here, I want to die, stuff like that. Like, I'd keep saying those things, literally just what I'd be listening to. That's what I'd be saying. So important to just watch what you say, but also watch what you listen to, because what you're listening to is what's gonna come out. If you're reading this, it's too late. Hi guys, my name is Diamond, I'm 15, and this is my testimony. So I've always been in the church as long as I could ever remember. My grandpa is a pastor, so me and my siblings have been singing for as long as I could remember. Like, we were always singing at church every single Saturday. So in the times of being at our home church and also being at the other church before we transitioned, we were going to a Christian private school. That's really where I was introduced to a lot of stuff that were negative and bad for me, and also bad for my siblings too. Even though it was called a Christian private school, that definitely doesn't change how the kids there act. My best friend at the time is the one that introduced me to Cardi B. She introduced me to that music, and I think at the time Bodak Yellow was popping. I think it was like 2016 or around like 2018. I'm not really sure when. I started listening to that music and I was like, yes, this is lit. Like, this sounds so good. And I carried that with me. Like, I carried that type of music with me. So fast forward, we were at our home church and we still had to sing. We were still responsible for the church community that we were building. Me and my siblings still had to serve, we had to sing. And as I got older, I started to like hate singing. I always told myself when I was small, like, I'm gonna be a singer when I grow up. As I started doing it, and I don't even know if at the time it was just because it was for the church, I started to not like doing it, and I didn't like singing the songs. With that, I didn't really like the style of music either. I just didn't like singing for church or playing the piano. I felt like I was forced to do it, and I just didn't have a love for doing it. And even though I'm still working on being lazy at times, I was like extremely, like, way more lazy than I am right now. Like, I'm still a teenager and I still am lazy. So I'm not saying I'm not anymore, but I was very lazy and I just didn't want to do anything. Like, I didn't want to do anything at all. So a little bit after we moved to our home church, me and my siblings and a couple more kids, I think there were probably like 10 or 15, I'm not really sure, kids that decided that they want to get baptized. And I remember my grandpa asking me, like, do you know why you want to get baptized? And I think my dad asked me too, like, do you know why you want to get baptized? I did not. I lied. I literally did not. I mean, I knew what it was about, but I didn't like do Bible study on my own time. I didn't talk to God really on my own time. Like, our relationship was like this. It should have been like this, but it wasn't. The main reason I wanted to get baptized was because everybody else was doing it. We tend to fall into that trap, like, oh, because everybody else is doing it, then you should do it too, which is definitely wrong, because God has called every single one of us to be different and stand out. That is just not the right way that I was heading to. I was like, if everybody else is doing it, then I'm gonna do it too. So I decided, yep, I'm gonna get baptized. So I got baptized. Fast forward a little bit, we were still at our home church, but COVID hit. And you guys know when COVID hit, like, literally everything shut down, especially in the beginning. At its peak, everything shut down, and also because of that, we had to like shut down our home church. So like, it wasn't any people coming in, no fellowship, anything like that. We were just like recording online. We had moved from the Christian private school that we were originally going to, and we started doing online school. And that was a big problem to me, because I'm just like, I can't be social anymore. Like, where are the people? There's literally nobody to hang out with. There's literally nobody to do anything with. And I realized now that I was like really dependent on people. I really cared about what people had to say about me. And I also really was dependent on people's opinions and decisions. So if you were gonna do it, I was gonna do it too. And now I don't stand for that, because that is not what God called us to do. So a little bit before COVID hit, that's when we moved out of that Christian private school that we were going to. So we started doing online school, and it was really boring, and it was just like, I would say from like 5th grade to maybe 7th or 8th grade, I kept that music, just like I told you guys about my best friend at the time that shared that ghetto music with me. I'm just gonna say it's ghetto. Cardi B and all those other female rappers that are not pointing us in any good direction. I was listening to that music constantly and I was rapping it, and even now to this day I could tell you word for word, lyric for lyric. I remembered all of them. I would listen to them all the time. I introduced my little sister to it, and I feel so bad for doing that. I introduced her to that music. We would just be up at night rapping those lyrics. Like, we would not be going to sleep when we were supposed to be going to sleep. We would be up at like 2 a.m. rapping those lyrics and just letting that consume our body. We weren't digesting anything good for our souls. We were just putting in a whole bunch of garbage, and it came out. It did. 7th grade is really when I started getting into mess with boys. So I did not grow up in a extremely strict household. I did not at all. I wouldn't even really call it strict, but just a rightfully guided household. According to what the Bible says, according to what God says, that's the things that we follow, and nothing else, nothing less. So that's what I was brought up into, and we weren't allowed to like go out and be like these other girls that are in the world. And I'm not hating, I'm just saying what it is. We were not allowed to do that. But in online school, there was this boy, and I'm gonna keep his name anonymous because why would I share that? But there was this boy, and my brother was in the same grade as him. I was like, oh, okay, he's cute or whatever. I seen him, I was like, okay, he's cute. And somehow, some way, we ended up talking, and that was my one and only so-called boyfriend. But I don't want to call him my boyfriend because I don't think that counts. It wasn't really anything serious. I think it was like 7th or 8th grade at the time. It was like not serious, really. He wasn't serious at all. I remember for Valentine's Day, he wrote me a letter. He gave me like teddy bear, chocolate, whatever. I was like, oh, this is so cute. Nobody's ever done this for me. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in love. No. Of course, like these boys in the world would do, he ended up asking me for inappropriate pictures, and I was just like, wait, no, what have I got myself into? I thought he was different, but like, girl, you should know better. So he was an atheist too. Just saying, that's my second red flag. 1, it was the inappropriate talk. 2, he was an atheist, and I don't know what I was thinking, but the thing is, I wasn't at the same place I am now. If you're not in the right mindset and you're not in alignment with God and you don't have a relationship with God, you have to realize that you're gonna attract and allow people that have low standards, and even that don't have any standards at all. That's what you're gonna get. If that's what you're giving out, that's what you're gonna get. And that's how it was for me. So it was just like, okay, don't want you. Next. Fast forward this like 9th grade, and at the time when I was in 8th grade, I was only allowed to have Snapchat. Still to this day, I will not download Snapchat back to be on it like a regular person. I will not, because like we all know what it's for, and it's just not cute. And if you use it, that's up to you, but me personally, no. 9th grade, I was allowed to have Snapchat, I was allowed to have Instagram, I was allowed to have TikTok, because my parents are the type like, okay, I'm not gonna restrict you from everything, but they're like, the things that you need to be restricted from at this time, you're gonna be restricted from it, and there's also gonna be things that you're gonna have to learn on your own. I can remember like I would get ready, put on makeup, full face of makeup, wear whatever clothes I wanted to, even if it looked tater tot-ish. You're trying to seduce some men. I was looking like a tater tot, and I was just being crazy. I was on the internet posting myself. I was on Instagram just posting myself, just getting ready, taking like 2 hours to get ready just to post on Instagram just to get some likes, and people said, oh, you're so beautiful, you're so cute, calling you babe and stuff like that, sliding in your DMs, and it was just like, oh, I felt so loved. And so I don't know, I just felt the love from people, and I like that. I like the attention. So that's what I kept doing. I know the reason that I kept wanting attention from men specifically is because my parents, my biological parents, split up. So that happened, and there was some failed relationships. I kind of felt like I was getting replaced for some reason. I felt like the love was going towards another woman and not me as a child, even though that wasn't even true. But I don't know why I felt that way, because that's not how it was, especially because I didn't have a good relationship with God. I was like, no, everybody hates me. My dad doesn't love me, my mom doesn't love me, my grandparents don't love me because they disciplined me. Like, it was a whole bunch of things that were just so unnecessary, but it's because of the headspace that I was in. That's the backstory to why I know that I wanted the attention from men. So I keep talking to boys, even though it was just a little online. Like, somehow I developed feeling for this person or these people because of the things that they would say. And I know that women tend to just fall upon a man or boy. I would call them a boy because I've never met a real man yet, besides my grandfather and my dad and Jesus too. But the reason why I would want attention from these little boys is to feel something. I just want to feel some love and attention, and it was just not doing any good for me. Like, if I can be so realistic, it's not doing any good for anybody else either. If you're doing that right now, just know that it's not going to fulfill you like Jesus can. It really is not going to. I learned that the hard way. Well, took a couple heartbreaks. I would get in these fake little relationships, and we would just be talking, and we would pretend like we love each other. They'd be talking to another girl. I'd go through their following, and I'd realize, oh, they're following this girl, and they said they'd stop talking to this girl, and they'd be texting this girl, and I'd see it, and I'd be like, okay, and they'd post the girl, and I'm like, what? I thought I was the one that you should be posting. The stem of it was the boys, really. Me allowing the boys to get to me and allowing them to really flood my spirit so much that it would just ruin my day, ruin my months, ruin my years. Like, that's how it was. It was so bad. And so I started listening to a lot of horrible secular music. I'm talking Trippie Redd. If you listen to Trippie Redd, stop right now. Stop right now. I literally can't even like listen to Trippie Redd anymore. I can't. Like, it doesn't sit right with me. I would have wallpapers of him, screenshots of him, photos of him, posts of him. Like, everything was Trippie Redd. It was an idol. Like, you would know, it's an idol. And I'd keep listening to that music, and it would just pour into my spirit more, and I would remember the stuff more. Just the feeling of not being wanted, not being loved. And for some reason, I've always felt like I haven't been heard. I just always felt that way for some reason as a little kid. Attaching to this demonic music, the devil already had a plan in mind for what my life was destined to be, but God switched it around, as he always does. He already knows where you're gonna end up, but the devil's always planning to put you somewhere and not let you get to God. It's so funny because my dad told me at the time my feelings were valid at that time, but later on I'm gonna look back and be like, these things that I was stressing over, the things that I was depressed about, it's not even gonna be a big deal as it was before. You just have to surrender. During that time when my depression started to creep up, a girl that's in my family, she let me know that she had a thing for girls. Like, she liked girls. Now that I look at it now, like, I know that's just a plan of the enemy, because God does not force you to like boys if you're a boy. God does not force you to like girls if you're a girl. God did not create you to be like that. And somehow, some way, the devil wanted to stir up in my spirit, like, oh wait, I find studs attractive. Like, and if you don't know what a stud is, it's basically a girl that looks like a boy. They try to look like a boy, but they don't want to claim that they want to be a boy, but they just want to look like a boy. It's confusing. Basically a tomboy girl that likes other girls. So at the time I was like, okay, she told me that, and like it was stirring up in my brain. And I remember telling her too, like, okay, I'm not gay, but I have a thing for studs. Like, I kind of like studs. Like, I have a thing for them. It's crazy. And it was so crazy. And I was like, yeah, I have a thing for them. So I remember we went on a hunt and on a search, and we were looking for studs. Like, we were looking for them, and we were like, okay, this girl looks cute, this girl doesn't, you know, this girl looks cute, and like, okay, wait, this one is mine, this one we can't share this one. And it was just a lot of like searching for that, and it was horrible. So after a while, somehow I started talking to this girl. It's honestly like, I will not condemn anyone who is gay or who is lesbian. I'm not going to treat you any different way how I would treat somebody who lies, who steals, a regular sinner just like me. I wouldn't treat you any different. But I'm saying, for me to look at myself back then, I was a crazy girl. Like, it's crazy to think and remember the things that I thought of and the things that I thought were okay. And it's honestly just like a relieving and like joyful feeling that I have, because I'm like, I used to be like this, but I'm not like that anymore. And so I had a thing for studs, apparently. That's what I decided. And so, okay, I started talking to this girl. She was like, oh, you're cute, whatever. So whatever. We started FaceTiming all the time. We were texting all the time, and we were just talking, and it was honestly just getting too far. It was getting too far, and it was just enough. Like, God was like, y'all are doing too much. Like, y'all are like, of course we were doing too much, but God was like, this needs to dead now. This needs to dead now. And so randomly she was just like, whatever, we need to stop talking because she's feeling some type of way or whatever, or like she's like depressed and stuff like that. Basically, she just wasn't ready to have any form of relationship. So she was just like we need to cut this off because like I don't want to do whatever this is anymore. I was butthurt. I was butthurt at the time. I was like, wow, I really thought you were cool. I really liked you for whatever reason I did at the time. And I was just like, wow. And I was so sad about it. And I don't know why, but that felt like a different type of pain from a boy breaking my heart than a girl breaking my heart. And honestly, all of that, it was in the devil's plan. It was in his, it was. But God turned it around as usual, as he always does. So God was like, you know what? I'm gonna dead this right now. So she texted me and she was like, this needs to be over. Like, this is done. Whatever. I was like, all right. Okay. We didn't speak. That was it. That was it. That was it. That was it. And the interesting thing was, I really only had a thing for that person. Like, it was like, okay, I found studs attractive at the time, but I really only had a thing for her for some reason. I think it was probably because that was the only girl that I've ever talked to in that type of way. So it was like, it was just different. And of course it was different because we're not even supposed to be like that in the first place. That's not how God created us to be. And so that ended, and eventually somehow I found my way back to her, and I was just like, hey, like trying to chat it up again, trying to be like, hey, like, come on, like, come back. That didn't happen though, because I was like, no, what, like, why are you going back to the same thing that I pulled you away from? And I realized we tend to do that a lot. I tend to do that a lot for different things. Like, God will pull me away from something, I'll go right back to it. And God is like, no, if I wanted you there, I would have kept you there. If I removed you from there, then you need to stay away from that. So that didn't go how I wanted it to at the time. And so whatever. Then fast forward, okay, I was getting it back to my little like boy cycle, okay? And there were just a lot of little boys, and they were like honestly getting on my last nerve because I'm just like, you guys are just playing too much. But what can you expect? You can't expect a man out of a little boy. You can't. You really can't. You can't expect a man of God from just a boy that goes to church. You can't. You literally can't. So if you're expecting too much, look at what they are. Look at who they are. Look at how they act. Look at the things they do. Look at the things they watch. Look at the things that they listen to. And try not to set your standards too high because, no, not your standards. Try not to set your expectations too high if you know that they're not up there. Like, at that point, you're just being delusional. Honestly, at that point, you are. Anyways, I was still on my boy hunt, but I was just kind of like drained, honestly, just from a lot of stuff that were going on. I just felt drained, and like new people coming to the family, and like I just felt drained. I just felt like bro, my life is literally over. And yes, it was overly dramatic, but not really, because that's really how I was feeling. So I decided, you know what, I'm so tired of everything that's happening right now. Like, it was a lot going on for me personally, and I was just like, you know what, I'm so tired with this stuff. And I started, of course, continuing to listen to that depressive music, the demonic music, the horrible music, and I decided that I was going to cut myself. So thank the Lord I don't have like big scars, because I wasn't like, I was still a little bit scared to cut myself. Like, I'm not trying to bleed out, and like I was scared, okay? I was scared. So I didn't cut myself super big, but I would get sharp objects, and say if I go into the shower, obviously because the blood is gonna wash off, like I would go into the shower and then I'd cut myself. When I'm in the shower, I'd just be crying and I'd cut myself, and I'd keep saying words to myself like, nobody loves me, I hate it here, I want to die, stuff like that. Like, I'd keep saying those things, literally just what I'd be listening to. That's what I'd be saying. So important to just watch what you say, but also watch what you listen to, because what you're listening to is what's gonna come out. I think I might have kept the paper just because I just want to look back and be like, wow, Diamond, you used to be like this, but now you're up here. God has brought you up here. It's not by yourself, but God has taken you somewhere where you never thought you could be, just because you gave your life to him. I remember titling, if you're reading this, it's too late. And I just remember writing letters to my dad. Yes, trigger warning, I was extremely suicidal. If you couldn't already tell from the cutting myself, I was headed towards suicide. I remember writing a little letter to my sister, to my brother, and also to my grandparents. And when I was writing it, I felt so like guilty, but at the same time, I kind of felt like, what else can I do? Like, there's nothing more for me to do. Every little situation that would happen, I get so emotional. I'd be so quick to cry just for no reason. And I would just call myself a crybaby, but I just know it was all that built up hate, envy, sadness, jealousy, like all of that. It was just built up in me, and anger, all of that. I was so ready. I was even thinking, like, how am I gonna do this? Like, which way am I gonna do it? Am I gonna pop some pills or something? I was just like, am I gonna like overdose? Am I going to just stab myself in some way that I will bleed out and nobody will be able to save me in time? And also the thoughts were like, okay, what if I do this and it fails? Like, imagine how disappointed everybody's gonna be in me. Like, I didn't want to face that, but also I was just thinking, like, if I did kill myself and if I did die, nobody would care, and I don't care if you cared either. That's how I was feeling. Like, it was just like, I'm gonna do it, and this is for me, and you shouldn't care because I felt like nobody cared now. I know it was God that he just led me to talk to my dad, and I was just explaining to my dad like how I'm feeling, and he was just trying to understand, like, why do you feel suicide? Like, what is happening to make you feel like that? And I was just saying, like, because I don't have any friends. And he would ask me questions. I'd just start crying. Like, is it because you don't really have any friends? Or he was asking me, like, what happened to these friends? Like, how come you're not talking to them anymore? Is it because of a boy? Is it because, like, what is it because of? And I don't really remember giving, like, straight out answers exactly, but I do know that because of my heart at the time, I felt like I couldn't really do anything, because say we couldn't dye our hair, because we couldn't get a nose piercing, because we couldn't do this, because we couldn't do certain things that I wanted to do at the time. I was just like, bro, my life's over because these boys don't love me. I feel like some of my family doesn't love me, and things are not going my way. That's how I was feeling. So I explained it to him, and he prayed for me, and I was just crying the whole time. And like, I felt relief after I talked to him about it, but nothing happened really for me. At least at the time, I didn't notice anything happen. Ended up talking to my mom about it, and I know God led me to talk to her as well. And I ended up talking to her about it, and she was like crying about it too, of course, like any mother would do. And she was just saying how she used to feel that way too. She used to be suicidal, and she attempted to kill herself before. And she's just saying, like, it's not worth it. And she was basically just pleading with me, like, not to do it. I think it really helped me because somebody was once in my place, and they're sharing their experience with me and telling me, like, no, it's not worth it. Don't do it. You're more than enough. Like, you don't need to kill yourself, and you don't need to feel these type of ways, because that's not true. And I hope that this is the same way with you guys, that me sharing my testimony is going to help you get closer to God, and it's going to help you through whatever you're going through right now, that even if it's one person that gets to keep their life, that doesn't take away their life by themselves. I pray that you guys would just be so reached by this, and that you would reconsider your decisions and your thoughts, and you would realize, no, God made me more than enough. I'm not here on accident. I'm here because God has a plan and purpose for my life, and I don't have to be like anybody else, and I don't have to fit into this box, and I don't have to be loved by these boys. I don't have to just do everything else that everybody else is doing, but I'm supposed to be doing what God has called me to do, because I'm special and I'm put on this earth for a reason.
This testimony is brought to you by Salt Lake District, a nonprofit organization in Tucson, Arizona. To help us produce more content that'll glorify God and inspire others around the world, shop with us online for Christian apparel and accessories at shop.saltlightdistrict.org. That's shop.saltlightdistrict.org. Or you can give a one-time donation or become a monthly donor by visiting us at saltlightdistrict.org. That's saltlightdistrict.org. Thanks for your consideration, and God bless.
And really just my mom sharing an experience that I was going through right at that moment helped me to be like, okay, like it opened my heart a little bit. I was just like, okay, I should rethink what I'm about to do. And also with that, I remember me and my siblings used to go to the crystal shops. I know you guys probably have those too. There's like little crystal shops. I would go in there and I'd be like, wow, these rocks are so pretty. Me and my sister have always been collecting rocks. Like, so let's not get it twisted. Me and my sister have always been collecting rocks. Like, oh, these are so pretty. These are so cute. But once I found out about these crystals, I was like, wow, like, ooh, these are really cute. They have little shapes. They have little designs. They're in bracelet form, necklace form, all of this. And I was like, wow. And I started doing my research on it too. Mind you, I was in this demonic music thing, in depression, cutting myself. And also I was researching about crystals. And I knew, like, hey, we're not supposed to believe in this stuff. We're not supposed to be following this stuff or praying to this stuff or any of that, because we're Christians. And not really was I thinking because we're Christians and we're followers of Christ. I was more thinking because I'm going to get in trouble. I'm going to get in trouble if my parents see me like hey, what are you doing? Like, you know, I knew what I was gonna get in trouble for. So I was just like, you know, I'm just gonna keep it on the low, but I'm gonna do a little bit of research. So I was doing my research. I would see all the girlies with their crystals, and they'd be like, I carry Asalite. I don't know the name, so I'm just gonna tell you. I would just carry Asalite and Celadome and Artis, and this one's for peace, this one's for love, this one grants you money, and this and that and that. So I'd kind of believe it. I'm not gonna play with you. I would believe it. And I would be like, oh, this is pretty interesting. I remember I went to the little jewelry shop that they have the crystals, and I bought 2 bracelets. I would sleep with the 2 bracelets by my bedside. Why would I do that? Why would you do that? Just because I was in a chokehold of anything that the enemy could put me under. So I would sleep with those 2 crystals under my bed. They were bracelets, but I would sleep with them under my pillow, actually. And I'd sleep with it and just hope that, like, when I wake up the next day, I'm gonna have a whole bunch of money, and I'm gonna be happy, and I'm gonna be this, and I'm gonna be that, and I'm gonna be like, wow, you really did it for me. That's what I was hoping. So I remember every single time I would get like horrible, scary dreams. Every single time that I would sleep with the bracelets under my pillow, I would have those scary, bad, demonic dreams. In my dreams, like, I couldn't really move, couldn't really see. I'd feel a lot of pain and all this different stuff that felt so real. Crystals, I used to be so obsessed with that. Now, I will say crystals that are natural rocks that are not shaped in any form, that are not on bracelets or necklaces, I find them so pretty because that's just how God made them. Literally just like that. That's how God made them. But I'm not into this wearing on wrists, wearing on neck, these little shapes and all that stuff, the mushrooms, all of that, because I know what it's about. I know what it's about. But if it's just a natural crystal that's from the ground, like, it's a rock. God made it. I just don't go for the store-bought thing. And I'm telling you guys, people be putting, not only in Africa, but all around the world, they be putting spells on those crystals. They put demonic spirits, all of that on the crystals. So if you're wearing evil eye, crystal bracelets, crystal necklace, even if you don't believe in it, I would just suggest you don't wear it. If you want to do that, that's your choice, but I'm just telling you, wearing this Buddha necklace, all of that, I would say not to wear it. Just saying, because there's a lot of spirits on it and there's a lot of beliefs behind it and all of that. When I would sleep with it under my bed and all of that, I was like, nobody can tell me anything because I never said I believed in it. But now I came to a point, like, I do not want to wear that stuff. I do not want to sell that stuff. I don't want anything to have to do with those things. Unless it's just a natural rock that God made. I don't want to buy it from anybody. If it's on the floor and it's cute and it's there and it's on the beach or whatever, beautiful, God, you did that. But I'm just not with all the other extra stuff. I was like, something's up, and it's probably these crystals. And so I took them out from my bed. I remember one time I went shopping for my birthday at Forever 21. I'm telling you guys, all these things are hidden in plain sight. These things, they're everywhere. You're not allowing me to sleep at night peacefully. So I threw it out, and I threw it out with the evil eye too. I threw it behind the back of my house because I'm like, girl, I'm not putting this in my trash. Bye, leave. I stopped with the crystal thing. Of course, I was going back and forth with these boys. We were still doing online school, and we were just like, we need to get out. And so around winter time, we went to this one church, and it was cool or whatever, but it was just like, this is all right. Like, we just hung out and we did a couple things over there, but it was just like, this is not that good. Plus, they gave us COVID. I will say that. They gave us COVID, so it was like, no, we're not going there ever again. Our parents stumbled across a church that we now go to. They took us there. At the time, I was still depressed. Even though I heard the words from my mom and my dad and other people that were trying to encourage me, nobody, all those friends that I had, whether they were in person or online, none of them were pointing me towards God. Conference was coming around, and if you don't know what conference is, and I'm so excited because conference is literally in a couple days, so like it's in like 2 days, and tomorrow setup time, and I'm so excited. I'm literally so excited. But conference is basically like a youth get together. Usually it's youth, I'm thinking, but mainly at my church it's a youth get together. Play games, we worship, we have different pastors coming from different places, and it's just such an amazing time. We get food. It's not free, but we get food, and it's delicious sometimes, and it's just really fun. It's really fun. We were going to conference to wake up early. Okay, one of the days we literally didn't even sleep. We literally didn't sleep, and we got there and we were literally falling asleep during the sermon. I'm so sorry about that. One of my sisters, she was encouraging me. No, I was not in worship holding my hands up because I was not at that point. I was like, no, this is awkward, this is weird, and I'm not doing that. Interesting, because I would want to do everything else the world is doing, but when it comes to church, I'm not in that, girl. I'm not in that. So the next day comes. I ended up making like some friends that I could hang out with the time being there, and they're pretty cool. I still talk to them today. I was just kind of like, this is cool, but I'm not where everybody else is at. At the end of the conference, God touched my heart, and I promise you, at the end of the conference, like that, my life took a turn right. 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 God was like, girl, whatever they're talking about, this is for you. You're gonna hear it. You're gonna accept it. You're gonna drench it in your soul, and you're gonna let go of these things that you're holding on to. I was like, what? But I'm excited about it. Okay, I was like, what? But I'm excited about it. So anyways, we go home and stuff like that, and then we keep going to that church. And listen, it's not the church itself that helped me change. God is the one. I couldn't have done it without God. Like, there would be no change in me without God. The only way we can change is with God. All of this that happened to me was because of God. God moving in the people that were there, allowing them to speak to me through Him. All of that was God. And he just flipped a switch, and it was like, wow. It was crazy. Like that. And no, I'm not saying like this, like I'm perfect now and I do everything right, and I'm like, wow, I don't do these things and I don't do those things anymore. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I'm not the same person I was before. There's a lot of things God was convicting me in my spirit, like, wait, there's a lot of things you need to drop, Diamond. There's a lot of things you need to let go of. There's a lot of people you need to forgive. There's a lot of things you need to just ask for forgiveness for. And He was leading me to just open up my heart to Him and give it to Him. And He was like, girl, this little trippy red and all these bad people that you be listening to, you need to drop it. I know who I really had to drop, that I was obsessed with, that was an idol, was Trippy Red. Trippy Red alcohol, that man, my husband, like, I don't care, still to this day, he's so fine. But don't go looking for him, okay? Don't. But as hard as it was, I had to drop it. I know it didn't just happen like, ooh, I'm magically just gonna be like, you know what, never gonna listen to Trippy Red again. But after a while, I kept setting limits to how much I listened to him. So it'd be like, okay, one day I'm listening to his whole album, one day I'm listening to half. And then it cut down, and it was just like, after a while, I'm just like, I don't even care about this man anymore. First of all, this man doesn't even know I exist, and I'm literally drooling over him. And I'm not even focused on the one that created every single person, including that person that I'm putting in front of God. Like, what? My heart was not in the right spot before, but I just decided, you know what, God, I really want to get to know you. Of course, I started reading my Bible more, and, well, not more, I'm not gonna say more. I started reading my Bible, period. Because before I wasn't reading it by choice. I started reading my Bible. I started praying to God, not only asking for things, but just talking to Him and thanking Him, because He removed the spirit of suicide, death, self-harm, all of that. He removed it in me because I chose to let Him in. I chose to let Him change me. It's all a decision you do. Like, it's a daily decision though. Daily. Even though I was just like, God, thank you for doing this for me, I was still looking for more. Not from God though, from people. And so I'd get into these little situationships with these boys. Then they break my heart, and I'd be like, wow. And I'd be praying to Jesus, Jesus, please let me know if this man is for me. And if he's not, let me know. Please let me know if this is the husband you have for me. And if he's not, then just let him do something that is going to make me so angry that I'm going to know. And I'd pray that prayer, and I promise you, for every single last one of them, He showed me. He sure did. Not one of them was a yes. And if they were a yes, then, well, I tell you right now, but nope. As disappointing as it was, and maybe still is, He said no every time. He let me know. If you ask God, I feel like, honestly, weirdly enough, and I know it's not only my opinion, I can say this for the girls, if you ask God and you're like, Jesus, please let me know if this person's not for me, He will tell you. He will tell you the next day. He will tell you the same night. And then, like, what? That prayer is just answered a little too quick for me. But I'm grateful for it because God is always a protector. He's a protector. He will protect you from things that he knows is going to harm you in the future or right now. So just trust him. Don't doubt what he says. It's really important to not blame God or really question him of why things are happening to you if you went ahead and put yourself in a situation or position he never called you to. You can't turn around and be mad at him for it because you brought yourself there. He did not. So I had to learn that the hard way, obviously. I was just like, if you at least call yourself Christian or you say you love God or you know God, then that's good for me. Yikes. After a couple more heartbreaks, quote unquote heartbreaks, I decided, like, you know what, I'm tired and I'm done. And the thing was, what really gets you is the boy that I really, really liked. He said that he was a Christian. He said that whatever, he's trying to have a relationship with God and like he's trying to do this and he's trying to do that. But was he doing it? No. And also, I just like got to a place where I was getting closer and closer to God, and he was not there nor trying. I was just like, I'm sorry, but until you change, we can't do this. We can't text, none of that. And he ended up like sort of cussing me out a little bit in a little way, like not too much, but it was enough to hurt my feelings. God was like immediate no. Like turn all the way around. My dad always would be telling me like, there's no point in like getting into a relationship right now. Like, you don't need to do that. You need to be focusing on yourself, which he still says now because, like, girl, I'm so young. And God, if you want to send me a man right now, then do that. But we're not getting together. It needs to be turtle steps is what it needs to be. I just started reading my Bible more. I was trying, and God knows that I was trying. So I just kept trying, and I was talking to him, and I was setting aside things. That's really a time where I decided, like, hey, I'm going to not be listening to as much of this music anymore. And I found a lot of good worship songs. I just started getting closer and closer to God. And with that, he opened more and more opportunities. As I told you guys, I used to sing in the church all my life. And I kind of started to not really like it as I got older just because I felt like I was forced to. But at the new church that we went to, I was like, wow, this music's actually nice. And I knew that God was tugging on my heart. This is recent stuff. So don't think like, oh, I've been living like this my whole life. This is recent stuff. And I would say I got saved around a year and a couple months. God was tugging on my heart and he was like, girl, you have a voice. And of course, people around me were saying it too, like my parents, and they were just like, you have a gift, don't let it go to waste. He was just tugging at me and he was just like, you need to use your voice. He needs me to use it and he's going to use my voice to save so many souls. I was like, okay, I'm nervous about this and it's crazy. At the church, they were like, if you guys want to come and audition for a part in worship. God was tugging on my heart and he was like, girl, you need to do this. Like, remember what I told you, so go do it. So this is the part where you need to obey. Like right now, he told me that I need to share my testimony, but I've been holding back. And he told me last night too. He reminded me through someone on YouTube, like God will use anybody. And that's what I'm doing right now. Went to the audition. Before I went, I was like, Jesus, please. Right now, I'm just going to pray to you. And I'm just like, God, if you want me to pass this, like if I'm allowed to get accepted into the worship team, that's how I'm going to know, like, you're going to use my voice to do so many things, to speak to people, to save lives, to just inspire others, to just speak to millions and thousands of people. I was stressing. I was like, what if I mess up? Like, what if I have to do this? What if I have to do that? And literally, I performed less than I practiced. I was stressing over that for no reason. Like, God already had what he had in plan. I just need to follow through. So Sunday came around, 3 o'clock came around, and I seen the music director texted me, and he was like, congratulations, Diamond, you're on the worship team now. I was like, what? What do you mean? Of course, I didn't ask him that, but I was like, Jesus, you did that. He did that. I'm telling you, if you ask, you will receive. You will. Just ask. Don't be afraid to ask. Like, I'm afraid to ask my parents certain things because, like, if they say no, I'm like about to bawl my eyes out. But ask God, you will receive. Well, I've been a part of the worship team for maybe like 3-4 months. I'm not really sure. But actually, I have to sing 2 times this month and I'm scared. But it's okay. It's what I'm supposed to do. God started leading me in different directions with my YouTube channel too. Even though I wasn't fully following through, I was just trying to do my thing and his at the same time, which is not going to work. You're either going to have to follow through or fall back. pick your poison. God was just opening more and more doors to me, and I started getting into more community and having more Christian friends or God-like friends, women of God. I've just been coming so much closer to God, even though there's sometimes where I have spiritual warfare. Be aware of that. It's gonna happen. It's going to happen. Or just feeling in a slump, like, nah, I don't want to read my Bible today. No, I don't want to do this. No, I don't do that. It's really about discipline and obeying. Discipline and obeying. And you have to pray to God, ask him for the strength, ask him for the motivation, because he already knows you're tired. He already knows you're lazy. He already knows all of the emotions that you're feeling. You really just have to ask him to help you with that. Recently, I've just been using my gift for God, even though I get nervous, even though I get anxious. I'm like, what if people are looking at me and all this stuff? I'm doing it for God. I've been going up to the altar without shame. Without shame. I'm actually like the first person to go up there. It doesn't matter if now 60 people follow after me. I'm going to be the first person to step up there because I'm going for me, not for them. I'm going for me and God. This is between me and God. So I go up there and then people follow along. Like, because somebody has to be the first person to go. Like, somebody has to be the first person to go. And if that's going to be me, then it will be. So, yes, going up to the altar with no shame, because I'm coming to my Father. I'm coming to the one that healed me and saved me from suicide, depression. He's brought my family through so many things. He's allowed us to get a new car. He's allowed us to get a new house. He's allowed us to create a clothing brand. He's allowed me to start my jewelry business. He's allowed me to join the worship team. He's allowed me to just be brave, be bold. He's just been doing so much for me, and I'm forever grateful for that. He's been doing miracles for me. I'm so strong in God right now. Like, nobody could tell me that he's not real. Even on the days when I feel like this. I know he's real. Nobody can convince me out of that. Guys, don't be ashamed of your worship. Don't be ashamed of your testimony. Don't be ashamed of the things you've done before, because really, this relationship is about you and God. You're here to spread your life testimony with others who are in need and need to hear it, so you can inspire them and so God can move through them. We're all here to just inspire and uplift each other. Don't be ashamed to worship, because your worship can motivate somebody else to be like, you know what? It doesn't matter what anybody thinks. It doesn't matter if anybody's looking, because look at this girl. Look at this boy. He's doing this. Like, why would I care? So it's just a lot of things that we need to just stop being ashamed of, especially because this is all for God's glory. I feel like, okay, my testimony's not at here yet, so like I shouldn't share it. No, my testimony is going to keep on going. God's going to keep on doing things for me, for my family, and I pray that he does so much for you, and that you'll realize it, and that you'll understand this is only from God, and anything in the world right now is not going to give me hope, joy, love, any of that the same way Jesus can. You guys like to say, I'm her, I'm him. God is. And you might feel like your life is over because of a boy, because of your family situation, because of whatever it is. I promise you it's not, and God has a plan for you. You just have to trust him and give your life to him. You just have to surrender. I just pray that you guys are inspired. I pray that you guys feel love. I love you guys. We're supposed to go out and love our brothers and sisters, whether they even have a relationship with God or not, because we all were once lost. If God puts in your heart to go pray for somebody, to go talk to somebody, to go encourage them, go do it. It doesn't matter whatever happens. It doesn't matter the situation that you're in, the position, it feels awkward, whatever it is. Go do it. You don't know how that can impact that person's life or your life. So I just pray that this inspires you guys, and I hope you guys have a great morning, night, day, wherever you are, and share this video with somebody, because you do not know how this can impact somebody. God is moving. He's always moving. You guys have a blessed day wherever you are. Bye.